Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to continue with chapter number 15, that is overview of audit of public sector undertaking. In the last session I gave you a brief about chapter, what we are going to discuss, what is the audit of public sector undertaking, what are public sector undertakings, and how we are going to proceed in this particular session. But before that, if I proceed to the chapter number 15, any doubt with any of the previous sessions or any of the previous chapter, including chapter number 14 with respect to the audit of NBFC and audit of banks? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, you can post it, you can write it, you can unmute yourself and speak. There is no issue on that. Do ask your doubts whenever you have. Okay. So there is no restrictions on asking the doubt. So please ask as much as you can. Okay. So if no doubts till now, no issues, let's proceed to the chapter number 15. How we will proceed today? How we will go? See, to understand the public audit of public sector undertaking, we'll take the help of the reports which are available in the public domain. I will explain from there that how the audit is being carried out, what are the different kind of audit, and then we will come to the some of the portions. Okay, what happens after the audit? Okay, some placement of the reports in Parliament or in legislative assembly of these states and everything. So we'll go on that particular part. But before, what we will do is we'll understand the audits, how the audits are carried out, what are the approach, what is the approach when the audit is carried out, types of audits for the public sector undertaking, the difference between them, and then we will go through in that particular direction. Okay. So in the last session, we discussed about what are public sector undertakings. Okay. We discussed about from where the auditing requirement is coming. So for the companies, a quick revision. Public sector undertaking can be a company under Companies Act, can be a company or a corporation enacted under specific act, and it can be a department or a function. Okay, so that is perfectly can also be fall under the definition of my public sector undertaking. Now, if I talk about audit of public sector undertaking for the companies, the requirement is there in section 129, 143. Fine. For specific act, as I said in the last, as I discussed in the last session about, let's say, LIC. So they have a specific act, and in their specific act there is a requirement for the audit of accounts. Perfectly fine. For the railway and the department, the requirement comes from the Indian Constitution. That is Article 148, 149, where appointment of C&AG and the duties of the C&AGs are there. Okay, basically you can say Article 149 is a prime article where it gives the power to the C&AG to perform the necessary functions, including the audit. Okay, so from there the requirement comes. Now, in these scenarios, what happened is, let's say for example, if I talk about specific act, or if I talk about railway and postal departments, okay, what happens is C&AG appoints the auditor. Even for the Companies Act, if you go back to section 139, if you go back to the section 139 under the Companies Act, we will see that the appointment of the auditor for the public sector undertaking or the government or the company where the government has holding of more than 50%, over there the appointment is done by the C&AG. Okay, we'll go back to that particular provision and we'll understand how it is different in case of the normal appointment. So before I proceed to the appointment of auditor under Companies Act, can anyone tell me a specific subsection where this requirement is? Okay, section 139 I told you. Which subsection where the which is a subsection where the requirement of appointment of auditor for government companies is? Anyone? Section 139 subsection which, where the requirement of or appointment of auditor for government company is? No? Okay, no issues. See, for the government companies, the appointment is situated in 139 subsection 6 and subsection 7. So subsection 6 says that the first auditor of the company, okay, uh, is required to be appointed within 30 days, which is other than the government company. And in case of government company, okay, in case of government company or any company, other company owned or directly controlled by the central government, okay, in that case, the appointment is required to be done by C&AG within 60 days from the date of registration of the company. So 6 is applicable basically to the companies other than the government companies, and 7 is applicable particularly to the government companies. Okay, I'll write it here for your reference. Just a minute. When it comes to the appointment of auditor for government companies under Companies Act. So for the first auditor, you have section 139 5 sorry 139.7, section 139.7, that talks about that first appointment is required to be done by C&AG within 60 days. First appointment within 60 days by C&AG. Okay. And then if C&AG doesn't appoint, then board of directors have to appoint within next 30 days. And in case of failure of board of directors, then again it goes to the members within next 60 days. And that's the process given in 139.7. So that is for the first auditor. Starts with the C&AG, but if C&AG is not able to appoint, then it goes to the next level to the board of directors. But for the case where it is appointment of a normal company, okay, normal company, sorry, not the first auditor, but appointment of a normal auditor for the each and every financial year. For the case of government company, it is under 139.5. So subsequent auditors, section 139.5. Okay. Now what 139.5 says that C&AG will appoint auditor, okay, who is duly qualified under the Companies Act by fulfilling requirement within a period of 180 days from the commencement of the financial year. So now appointment will happen is within 180 days from commencement of the financial year. And he will hold office till the conclusion of the annual general meeting. So that is the provision of appointment of auditor, okay, for the government companies. Now, this is government companies defined under the Companies Act. Okay. Now, if there are specific corporations, they have a specific act, so their appointment requirement is there in their respective act. And for the others, there is an empanelment. Okay. For departments, for functions, or for programs, there is an empanelment. So there's a detailed policy, year on year. C&AG brings out for the appointment of the auditor, okay, for the empanelment of CA firms and LLPs, where based on certain criteria they can apply in the empanelment, and accordingly they can you get the appointed as an auditor for the company. And I'll show you that policy, the policy which is there for the 25-26. Now this policy is only for your understanding purpose, okay, so that you can understand how it works. Okay, it's for your only understanding purpose. Now this is the policy from the empanelment of CA firms, LLPs, and selection of auditors. And see, this is under 139.5, 139.7 of the Companies Act, the thing just now we discussed. Okay. And of the statutory corporation and autonomous bodies as per the provisions of their respective act, the second category. And this is the criteria which is given. Quantitative parameters and a lot of things are given. Experience. So experience is there. CA employees related criteria, full-time ACCA partners, full-time FCA partners. A lot of things are there. Okay, for the criteria, qualitative criteria are there. Sorry. Then these are certain criteria which are given, and audit fee is given. A lot of things are given in this policy, but this is how C&AG actually, opens up the empanelment, and auditors or the CA firms and LLPs can, apply for this empanelment, and then they, get the opportunity to be the auditor if C&AG selects them for those particular government companies or public sector undertakings. Okay. So this is how, actual appointment is done based on this policy. Now, let's go back to the study material. So, this is how, the appointment on the ground actually happens for the government companies. Now, what happens after the appointment? Or what is the role of C&AG? We need to understand that, okay, when it comes to the audit, okay, appointment is one part, perfectly fine, no issues. But apart from that, what is the role of C&AG when it comes to the audit? Okay, of the public sector undertaking, or you can say government companies and the Companies Act. So what is the role, and are we required to follow something additional when it comes to the audit of public sector undertaking, or it's a normal audit that we do? So that is something we need to understand. Okay. Now, in case of audit of government companies and public sector undertakings, I'm not sure, do you remember or not, when we were discussing section 143, at that point in time, we discussed about some specific audit for the government companies. So do you remember any provision under section 143 which is applicable to government companies that we discussed? Yes or no? Can anyone quickly tell me what is the provision under section 143 with respect to the audit of government companies? Anyone? No? Okay. No issues. I'll tell you. See, after appointment, when it comes to the audit, section 143 is the main section, reporting section, where it is, we are required to report. Okay. I hope that is clear. Now, there is subsection 5. Section 143(5). Now, this subsection basically deals with the audit reporting and the manner of the audit. Okay, this deals with the audit and manner of audit of government companies. Basically, what this subsection says is, okay, C&AG is the one who will appoint the auditor for the government companies by under section 139(5) and 7. So the first auditor and the subsequent auditor. Fine. But along with the appointment, C&AG will direct such auditor in the manner in which the accounts are required to be audited. So C&AG will direct the manner in which the accounts are required to be audited. Okay. Means C&AG will tell you how you are required to perform audit in case of this government company or this company or that company. So along with the appointment, you will get a detailed instruction from the C&AG if there are any specific instructions where they will provide you, okay, no. This is how you are required to do audit in case of the government company under Companies Act. I'm not talking about specific act. I'm not talking about the departments or functions or something like that. No, I'm specifically as of now talking about the Companies Act. That means when you are doing audit under Companies Act for the public sector undertaking, at that point in time, C&AG specifically directs that how audit is required to be done. How audit is required to be done, and what are the things or critical areas that are required to be focused upon. Accordingly, all those things are mentioned in the directions which are issued by C&AG. Can you recall that from section 143? Yes or no? Okay, no issues. Now that is first part of subsection 5. Second part is about the reporting. Now that says that if once you do the audit, then you have to report. Okay, the auditor which is appointed by C&AG has to submit a report to the C&AG. So the report goes back to the C&AG, and then C&AG will take the actions and whatever it is. So, and may give directions to the auditor. So that is a secondary step. But auditor is required to submit the report to C&AG after the audit. Sometimes C&AG gives you, directions. Okay, perform this additional audit. Over there, you submit your report. Okay, this was the direction given to us. Now, this is something we have performed. This is the outcome. So that is how, the audit is done for the public sector undertaking in case of, it is a company, government company registered under Companies Act. Now that was the normal audit. There is a special audit under 143. I will not say special audit, but it is known as a supplementary audit. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is supplementary audit, and under 143 where the requirement of supplementary audit is? Okay, it is section 143, but where? 143 which subsection? Supplementary audit. Anyone? Yes, no? What is supplementary audit? No? 143.6. Yes, very good, Ginny. Correct. So basically, supplementary audit is your audit which is done by the C&AG under sorry 143.6. Now, what is the requirement and what it says? So section 143.6 says that if the C&AG, upon receiving the report, if he is not satisfied with the report, or if he wants to do some additional audit, so within 60 days from the receipt of report, he has a right to conduct a supplementary audit. Okay, that is within 60 days from receipt of audit report, right to conduct supplementary audit. Okay. Now, once the supplementary, usually what happens is once the supplementary audit is assigned, okay, then C&AG, appoints a person also, which may be or may not be a chartered accountant, but usually, they are chartered accountants. Okay. So appoint some persons who have to carry out the supplementary audit. Okay. In that, C&AG provides the direction, okay, how you are required to do supplementary audit, what information is required. So what that person is required to do under supplementary audit, what matters he is required to check, and how he is required to report. So in that case, C&AG directs how to do the audit. It's not a normal audit which we see for the under 143 subsection 5, or the normal companies audit. No, it's a supplementary audit. Something additional is being done. Now in this case, this supplementary audit report is required to be submitted again to the C&AG. Okay. Once the person is appointed, once the directions are issued that how to do the audit, the person will do the audit and the person will submit the audit report back to the C&AG. Okay, after completing the supplementary audit within the time frame that is given. And also the same audit report will be placed in the annual general meeting of the company. So this is how basically the supplementary audit is carried out. Even C&AG provides sometimes comments after also supplementary audit. Means supplementary audit is done, findings are submitted towards the C&AG, and C&AG may comment upon such audit report, okay, or supplementary audit report. So along with those comments, along with the audit report, everything is required to be submitted or placed before the annual general meeting in the company. Clear with this? Yes, no? Any doubts? No?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please again the meaning of supplementary audit एक बार आप वापस से repeat करेंगे please?
If I talk about supplementary audit, it is basically additional audit. It's not something new. It is the additional audit with the instructions. Tomorrow, let's say you have done the audit. Okay. You are the auditor of the public sector undertaking or the government company. I, C&AG, come to you. Okay, you have done the audit. Perfectly fine. No issues. But go again and check the revenue, this kind of revenue in this much detail, and give me the outcome in this particular format. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is a supplementary audit.
तो सर इसको हम रिव्यू भी कह सकते हैं क्या?
No.
नॉर्मल टर्म में?
हाँ, normal term. See, why I will not say review, because when it comes to the definition of review, it is just only inquiry and analytical procedures.
Analytical procedure.
Here I am asking you to perform some additional procedures, audit procedures.
Okay, sir.
You are required to check something. You are required to provide me some additional information. So that's why it is known as a supplementary audit rather than the supplementary review.
Clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other doubt? Any doubt, guys? Okay. If no further doubt, we'll proceed ahead. Okay. Now, this was supplementary audit. There is something more. there is one more type of audit under the Companies Act, basically for the government companies, and that is under 143(7). You may call this as a test audit. Okay. Now this test audit is under section 143(7). Now what this test audit is? Basically, C&AG, okay, in case of any company, any government company, basically, okay, if he considers necessary, then he may appoint a person to carry out the test audit as per the provisions of a particular act. I'll come to that. Okay, now what is this test audit? How it is different from the supplementary audit? See, supplementary audit is something, why it is known as a supplementary audit? Because it is in the response of the your normal audit. So the trigger point for the supplementary audit is something that is within 60 days. Within 60 days from the receipt of audit report, normal audit report. So supplementary audit can only be done once you have a normal audit done. Yes or no? If
Yes.
you read the provisions of 143(6), it says that within 60 days from the date of receipt of audit report, okay, normal audit report, annual audit report. But what if C&AG wants to carry out an audit during the year for a specific matter? Is he required to wait till the end of the year, then 60 days and all that stuff? Answer is no. C&AG has authority, okay, to carry out the audit, and that's why he can, appoint anyone, and that person will carry out the test audit for C&AG. That is the difference between supplementary audit and test audit. Now, okay, Companies Act says that C&AG can, appoint a person, okay, if they want, okay, by the order, they can cause a test audit to be conducted. Okay, they can appoint a person and that person will conduct the test audit. And that audit will be conducted as per the provisions of C&AG DAG Act. Now, what is C&AG DAG Act? Okay, I'll tell you. Basically, when I talk about C&AG DAG Act, it is nothing but the Comptroller and Audit General duties, powers and conditions service act. Okay, now this particular act, this act specifies the duties, powers of C&AG, and in that, one of the power of C&AG is the audit of government companies, which is given under section 19. So if you refer to section 19 of C&AG, I call it Duties, Power and Condition of Service Act, okay, DPC Act. So in this particular act and section 19 of this act, there is a power to conduct the audit of government companies. And it says that, the C&AG can exercise the powers that are there under the Companies Act to conduct the audit of the government companies. Okay, and accordingly, C&AG can appoint the person. So that is the power which is there under section 19, and again the same power is there under section 143(7). Both are related. Okay, so here C&AG can appoint person to carry test audit. Okay, can appoint a person to carry out the test audit as in the manner they C&AG requires. Clear? I hope you understand the difference between the test audit and the supplementary audit. Yes or no? Okay. Now, there is one more section that I want to specifically discuss. That is 19A of again C&AG DPC Act. Now, what is this 19A Act? 19A talks about that, okay, if audit under section 19 is done, okay, that audit report basically, or the that report that has been received is required to be laid before each house of the parliament, and or if it is the state government, then before each house of the legislative assembly of the state. So once this audit is done, or any audit under section 19 is done, okay, then section 9A requires report to be laid in both house of parliament or state assembly. Okay. So once the audit is done, then present the reports to the parliament or state assembly of the house. That is section 19A of the C&AG DPC Act. So report of the test audit is also required to be submitted before each house of the parliament. Okay. Now, how many of you have, seen the reports being laid in the house of the parliament? Anyone? Have you ever seen, the reports being laid before the house of the parliament or any house, anything like that way? Yes, no, no? Okay, no issues. I'll tell you. I'll show you also with example. Just give me a minute. So, I'm not sure how many of you actually go to the, that Lok Sabha or the Parliament website. Over there, let me show you. Okay. See, I am just going to the publicly available data agenda. Okay, just this is for your information purpose, nothing else. Okay. Now, what happens is whenever any session is going on of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, you will see papers to be laid on the table. Papers to be laid on the table. Now, these papers can be, reports of the standing committees, can be, statement of various statement, can also be, what do you say, some financial statement. So these statements can be financial statement also, audit reports also. So if I show you some other day, if I find, so these reports or these papers can be, also audit reports which are conducted by C&AG. And then basically this particular report or these particular statements are submitted and then are discussed. So for example, a copy of annual report is there. See, I'm not sure if you are able to see. I'll just zoom in a bit. Okay. A copy of annual report of some institution in Mumbai along with the audited accounts. Okay. A copy of annual report of some association which is in Pune with audited accounts. I'm just opening randomly. Okay. A copy of annual report with audited accounts. for a particular year. So these are nothing but the papers which are laid on the table and which are then discussed. Okay, so the provision that we are discussing in actual also get followed. This is how it get followed on the what you say ground. So these reports are submitted to the House. This is presented to the Lok Sabha. Same way I'll go to the Rajya Sabha. Over there also you will see these reports are being presented, and then they are discussed. I'll come to the part where I will say these are discussed and I'll say how these are discussed. Okay. But as of now, just park it. Once it is placed before the House, it is then discussed. Okay. I hope it is clear now. Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? No? Okay. Now, usually, like the other audits, if you see over here, whatever we have discussed, the audit of government company is bit different. We have C&AG in picture compared to other audits where we have only companies, the board of directors, or the management and those charged with governance. Here we have C&AG. We are required to do the audit. Okay, whichever audit we are doing, we are required to do that. But apart from that, something additionally we may do, some additional procedures we may do which may be prescribed by C&AG, which you usually do not identify in the normal audits. Okay. So can I say C&AG is an additional element in case of the government audit? Yes or no? Can I say that C&AG is the additional element in the case of government audit? Correct? In normal audit, what happens is you have basically those charged with governance or management, you have the auditor. Okay, you have the responsible party basically, or you have the or the intended users, both are same, and then you have the auditors. So in case of normal audit, one party is auditor and one party is management / shareholders. Yes or no? This is how it happens. Okay. But in case of government audit, it is quite different because we have a third party involved. In case of government audit, what happens is now the auditor is there. Okay. That auditor is the C&AG because C&AG is the one who is appointing the auditor. Okay. Now, responsible party. Who is the responsible party here? Responsible party is the entity. Responsible party is the entity, whose audit is being carried out. Earlier, I was talking about management and shareholder. You can say this; these are the responsible party, basically. Okay. And third comes the intended user. Earlier, the intended users were shareholders, but in case of the government audit, intended users can be different. Why? Reason because in case of government audit, the users are not the shareholder, but because the shareholder is the government. If I talk about audit of government company, you have the government as the shareholder. In that case, intended users can be different in case of government companies. Okay. And that's why by bringing the third party over here, having a separate third intended users, this becomes the audit. Okay. tri-party audit agreement or tri-party audit arrangement in case of government companies. So from normal to government companies, basically, okay, government companies audit, you have a tri-party arrangement. So in tri-party arrangement, what happens is auditor, C&AG or person appointed by C&AG. It can be auditor like us. Second part is the responsible party. Now, in case of government company, I would not say appointment is done by the shareholders. Government does not does the appointment for us. It is the C&AG who does the appointment. So I remove the word shareholder in case of government company audit. We do not call management. We rather than call them the responsible party, or you can say management also. Management, but it is nothing but the responsible party. The entity itself, okay, auditable entity that I'm talking about would be the responsible parties. Okay. Now, intended users. See, when I say government is the shareholder, it is not the actual government is the intended user, but the general public behind the government becomes the user of that report. Are you getting the point? So today, if a particular government company is there, so if the government is investing money in that particular company, that is the money of the public. So the intended users is not the government, but a step ahead the government, that is the general public. That's why, unlike the normal audit, where you have a shareholders, okay, where you have a shareholders and board of directors of the company, which can be same, which can be different. That's why it's auditor and the company role. But here, company is separate. Intended users can be general public and the auditor is a C&AG. So that's why it becomes the tri-party agreement or tri-party arrangement when it comes to the audit of government companies. Are you getting the point? This is how the tri-party arrangement in case of government companies work. Very important to understand. Any doubt in respect to this particular part? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. See, intended users can be, the general public or the individual class of behind the government, basically. Let's say if the state government is involved, then, state citizens or that resident of that state will be the intended users, because government is the one who has invested the money, but at the end, it is the basically, the public who wants to know about the particular what you say, the functioning of the company. That's why you have a different intended users in case of the government audit. So when I say this intended users, it can be different intended users, okay, based on the type of the audit. If it is a government company, then as I told you, but if it is a function or department, again some different intended users will be there. Let's say, for example, railway. You don't have shareholders in railway. Do you have shareholders? No. You don't have shareholders in case of department audit, in case of a health service function audit. Over there, the intended user is the public, which is there, or someone else, okay, who wants to know about how the functions are working. Just take an example of, let's say, for example, LIC. So government has invested the stake in the LIC, but behind the government, even though the shareholder might be government, but at the end, the public wants to know how the LIC is being managed. So they are the intended users, the individual organizations or the classes for whom the audit report is being prepared. And that's why the audit reports are laid in the House of Parliament, because it's not only the government. Parliament consists of both government and the opposition and everyone. So that's why it is presented in front of everyone that okay, how the company is being working, the function, the department or the corporation is being working. Okay, and that's why they present in that particular. They present in the house so that it can be discussed. Though, then through those people, it reaches to the public who are the intended users. Yes or no? Clear now? Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Okay. Now, coming to the part where I'm talking about discussion on the reports. As I said, section 19A talks about laying the report in the parliament or the state assembly. Okay. What happens after the reports are being laid? Basically, I will, provide a brief understanding of this particular part. Okay. There are 3 committees in the parliament. Okay. These are known as the financial committees. These are the 3 committees which are in the parliament. These are known as the financial committees. One is the estimate committee, or you can say as an estimation committee or estimates committee. Okay. Second is your public accounts committee. And third is your public undertaking committee. Okay. Now, what are the role of these committees? What happens that once the reports are laid, okay, or once the something is being laid with respect to the estimates, this particular committee, what it does is this committee has a role to analyze the economies, improvement in the organization, efficiency in the efficiency or administrative reforms, with the policies underlying the estimates or something like that. So they go and verify and check, okay, is something reform, or is something change can be brought into with respect to the estimates of that particular entity. Okay. Or how can the change be brought into, what change can be suggested, okay, with respect to the functioning of that particular that organization or undertaking, or you can say corporation. Okay. So basically committee on estimates works on the how the changes can be brought into. Okay. How changes can be brought into with respect to the functioning of the particular company with respect to the estimates. Now, again, this committee does not perform the functions which are performed either by the public accounts committee and public undertaking committee. So if there are certain functions, then these functions will not be performed by the estimates committee, and there is a list of the procedures that are given, that are they are required to follow. Okay. So basically, a lot of things are then given to this particular committee for the evaluations. Even they, even what you say, multiple meetings are held. They present their reports. So I will show you a report of the estimates committee. Just a minute. It is opening up. Okay. This is the again committee on estimates. This is the report presented by the committee on estimates. Once they get something, then they analyze, they meet, and they present the report. Okay. Now, basically, this is something on the mega integrated textile regional park and everything. Scheme revival effect for the 6 and textile PSUs and all that stuff. Okay. Again, as I said, it can be with respect to a function, it can be with respect to a program, it can be with respect to a corporation or PSU. It is just for your information purpose. So what they do is they recommend over here that okay, what is required to be done with respect to these programs. Okay, what further changes can be done in that particular program, how further this program can be made more robust or something like that. So they provide these recommendations, by analyzing the reports or by analyzing whatever is laid in the parliament for the discussion. Once the audit is done, once the test audit is done, either it is a performance audit report, a lot of things are there. Okay. So these reports are then presented by the committee, and then these reports are then discussed by the committee, okay, in the parliament, and parliament discusses on each and every matter. So this is how the report is there for the estimates committee. Now, coming to the next part, public accounts committee. So what is the then difference between estimate committee and public account committee? Okay. When it comes to the public account committee, they have the very specific function. Okay. Their function is basically examination of the accounts showing the appropriations by the parliament. Okay. For expenditure or annual financing that is done by the government. So here, committee will go and check the money that is shown, that is dispersed legally to the companies or to any of the department. So government will allocate the fund. Let's say it is allocating fund to the railways, it is allocating fund to the some postal department. So whatever funds is allocated, it is legally available to that particular department. It is legally done, it is appropriately done. The expenditure which is done is within the authority, and every reappropriation is with the provisions. Okay, so it is basically with respect to the accounts. They will also examine the income and expenditure, trading manufacturing schemes. Okay, they will examine the statement of accounts in detail, unlike the estimates committee, which has a very limited role with respect to related to the estimations or with related to the some efficiency related. No, they will analyze or examine all the things over here: statement of accounts or statement of income and expenditure, the amount that is shown as a legally to be disbursed, the expenditure that is being done is in confirmation or not, the consideration of the report of C&AG. Okay, so it is more in detailed in nature compared to estimates committee. Okay, so public accounts committee basically has a function to look into in more detail with respect to disbursements and all that stuff. So that is the role of public accounts committee. And again, the way I discussed for the estimates committee, they also have the meetings. They present the report, and their report is presented to the houses, and then then it is being discussed. I'll just show you a report. Again, this is the report of the Public Accounts Committee, okay, for the Ministry of Railway, loss on opportunity to done an additional fares or something like that. Now, if you see, chapter 1, I'll just show you in here. So here they provide the recommendation. See, the committee noted audit observation of this administration incurred an extra expenditure of this much CR. Okay, and they will then now analyze the expenditures. They will now analyze the audit observations which are there, and then they will suggest what is required to be done. Okay, then they will do their analysis, and accordingly they will suggest what is required to be done for each and every thing, like observing the fact like this is something like this way, extra expenditure. So here they are going and checking about the expenditure. Here they are going and seeing, okay, is there any observation? What was the observation? Why it has happened? In depth checking. So audit report, you might have an observation in performance audit report. This was not done. Now here it is beyond that. It will go and it will recommend what is required to be done to avoid this. Okay. So accordingly, they might recommend something additional which might not be there in the audit report. So this is how the public accounts committee work basically. And the third one is your public undertaking committee. Now, what is this committee? Again, we have discussed two committees. How this is different? This is specifically for the public undertakings which are specified in the fourth schedule. In a rules and procedures and conduct of the business of Lok Sabha. So there are rules given. There is a fourth schedule given to that rules. Okay, where the public undertakings are specified. And with respect to those public undertakings, to examine the reports, to examine the autonomy and the efficiency of those public undertakings, to exercise such other functions as the Public Account Committee and Estimate Committee may provide to this committee for those undertakings. So this is specific for those undertakings. Okay. So Public Account Committee may say that, okay, this is undertaking, public sector undertaking, specified under Schedule 4. Okay, specified basically under 4th schedule. You look into that. For other than the 4th schedule undertakings, accounts committee is there and estimates committee is there. So this is the difference between all the three committees, and they discuss on the matters. Means estimate committee provides a required amendment. Yes, you can say that. Yes, Jenny. So this is how the discussions happens with the financial committees, and once the papers are laid. Clear with this? Just to give an overview, the role of these committees. Okay. Now, once you'll understand, these committees, we understood the part where, discussion happens. That, okay, after section 19A, when the reports are laid in the parliament, these are discussed and these committees come into play, they discuss the report. Okay, this is how basically, a summary, I would say, the audit works about. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? No? Yes, no? Any doubts? Okay. If no further doubts, let's proceed further and understand something more. Okay. Now we will be understanding. Okay, there is one doubt. What is autonomous body? Autonomous body. Basically, they are working independently. They are not, what you say, driven by, some government. Okay, it's not driven by the government. It's a autonomous body. Either might be set up under constitution, either any statutory law. They are working automatically. ICAI is an autonomous body. Public sector, can you explain public sector, public undertakings? So you want to understand the definition of public undertakings, Sania? Uh, can you just explain, like, you want to understand the definition of public undertakings? Okay, the use of the public undertaking committee or what? Can you just clarify a bit? Can you just clarify, like, it's a definition or the public undertaking committee? Basically, when it comes to the public undertaking committee, they are specifically for the four schedule undertakings. Okay, so they look for the four schedule undertakings. And if you're talking about the definition of public sector undertaking, okay, see, when it comes to the public undertakings or public sector undertakings, in my yesterday's session, we discussed about what are public sector undertakings. It can be either companies under Companies Act, it can be, corporations under specific act, it can be a department, a function, or a, program. It can be also set up under the Constitution of India. So all the three fall under the definition of public sector undertaking. So if it is, let's say, specific act is the LIC SBI example, department like railway or postal, companies can be various companies under Companies Act, where the government has the majority of the holding. So these could be examples of your public sector undertakings. I hope it is clear. Any further doubt, guys? Any further doubt? Yes, Kirti. Correct. Any doubt? Any doubt? Again, the example of autonomous body, you can say Reserve Bank of India is also autonomous body. Election Commission is also autonomous body. So autonomous bodies, they are independent. They can be either constitutional or they can be statutory under specific act. For example, Reserve Bank of India Act. The RBI has a separate act. It is an autonomous body, different than the government. Any further doubt, guys? Any further doubt? No? Okay. No issues. If no further doubt, let's proceed. So now what we will be discussing is the types of the audit that are being done. Okay. The types of the audit that are being done by the C&AG. See, we have seen audit of the accounts under Companies Act. We have seen discussions that is being done, but now we will go beyond the audit of accounts. Now we will see various type of other audits which are done by C&AG or which may be done by person appointed by C&AG. Okay, starting from the audit of expenditure of the consolidated fund of the India, C&AG can audit other programs also. C&AG can audit grants, loans given also. Okay, C&AG can audit the receipts of union or states, can audit the accounts And other audits can also be performed as required by the C&AG. C&AG can inspect the any office with respect to accounts which is under the control of union state, or they may C&AG may consider the audit of expenditure that is being performed by them. C&AG may conduct audit of receipts that is being the union or state has received. A lot of things can be there. When I say union or state, it's not only union or state, but what you say, all the departments, all the functions, all the programs that are running under that. And from there it comes the various types of audit. Okay. From there, various types of audit comes. And we will see now those various type of audits. I'll come to that, Jim. In a matter, I'll come to that. Don't worry. In a time. So when we'll discuss various type of audits, I'll explain each type of audit. Just a minute. Okay. Now, when I talk about various types of audit that are performed, basically, okay, these can be like financial audit. It can be comprehensive audit. It can be compliance audit. It can be performance audit. Okay. So we will discuss these type of audits in detail. So one is financial audit, basically, that you have already seen till now, the financial audit that we do. Then comes the compliance audit. I will explain you through the report only. Don't worry on that. We will see the report live example. Then comes the, you can say, performance audit. Comprehensive audit. Okay. Performance audit, comprehensive audit. Then basically you can say proprietary audit. We will come to that also. Like, we will understand which are the matters which are covered under that particular audit, so that and how it is different than your performance audit. Okay, we will understand that also. And then we will understand on the planning for each of the category of the audit. Okay, how the audit is planned, how the audits are carried out, and basically what is basically difference in planning of each and every audit. Because see, each audit is a different type of audit. Okay, and each audit requires a different type of planning. Sorry. So we will understand these types of audit. We will understand what is the principle behind these audit and how these audits are being performed. Okay. Now, I'll not go to the financial audit because we have discussed already. We have seen multiple times, we have discussed on the financial audit. That is a normal audit with respect to expressing an audit opinion on the financial statement, and that is the part. So that is a financial audit, our normal statutory audit that we discussed. Now coming to the first type of audit is the compliance audit. Can anyone tell me what is in compliance audit? I'll discuss, no doubt, but what first things comes in your mind when you hear compliance audit? Anyone? What is the first thing that comes in your mind when you think of compliance audit? Come on, guys. Anyone? Complied with the regulatory requirement? Yes. Comply with various laws and regulations? Yes. Absolutely correct. What else? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, no issues. Let's understand with the help of a report. Okay, so I have a compliance audit report for you guys. We will discuss with the help of that report what is compliance audit. This is compliance audit. Yes. Remember, in last session also we discussed about this particular report. I show you an example. This is the compliance audit report with respect to a particular matter. Okay. Now these audit can be, again, I'll not repeat, but I'll just to allow let you know that audits can be of a program, can be of a function, can be of an activity. That is perfectly fine. Okay. When I talk about compliance audit, not necessarily it will be an audit of an entity. No, no, not necessary. It can be audit of a function also, or a program also, a scheme also. Compliance audit of a scheme, perfectly fine. Yes. Okay. Now let's understand how this audit is being carried with the help of this report itself. See, as I told you, remember that report are laid before the house, before the state assembly or the parliament. It will be laid in the parliament if it is related to the central government or the Union of India. If it is related to the state, then it will be laid in the state assembly or the legislature of the state. Now, if you see, this report was submitted to the governor of the Madhya Pradesh and laid before the state legislature of the state. So it was laid in the state assembly. Again, audit conducted under Comptroller and Audit General duties and powers that we have discussed, perfectly fine. Same as I told you, the powers to conduct these audit comes from the C&AG DPC Act. That is the Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service Act. Okay, and this particular act is formed under the Article 149 of the Indian Constitution. 149, 151. So Article 148 to 151, there are articles of the Indian Constitution through which this act is there. Okay, and this act gives the powers to the C&AG to conduct these various type of audits. Now, again, here we will understand what is the objective of the audit. See, the primary purpose of the report is to bring to the notice the significant results of the audit. Okay. Now, what are the results of the audit? Basically, the findings are expected to enable the executive to take corrective actions, frame appropriate policies, issue directions, and better governance. So that is the basically purpose of the audit. Now, they are saying what is compliant audit over here. Compliant audit refers to the examination of the transactions relating to the expenditure, receipt, asset liability of the audited entities to ascertain whether the provisions of the various laws and regulations which are issued are being complied with or not. So what they will do is they will examine the transaction to ascertain whether provisions of whatever laws are applicable to them are being complied with or not. So whatever you are saying, that compliance audit basically goes into and checks whether the transactions were done in accordance with the not only laws and regulations, but you have various orders, instructions, schemes which are issued by competent authorities from time to time. Okay, we will go and we will see what is the, we will understand some concepts over here. What is the subject matter, what is the criteria, and what is the subject matter information. Okay, so this was the basically definition for the, you can say, a summary understanding of the compliance audit. What is compliance audit? As of now, I'll skip the significant audit observations. I'll come to that. We will discuss that also. But let's skip for time being. Okay. Oh, wait. Yeah, from here. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. Whenever you carry out the audit, what is the first step of the audit? Normal audit. I'm asking normal audit. What is the first step of the audit? Whenever you carry out an audit, what is the first step? Quickly. Come on, guys. First step of the audit whenever you carry out an audit. Understanding the entity, overall understanding the entity. Yes, absolutely correct. Overall understanding the entity. Okay. After getting appointed, you go and you get the understanding of the entity. Plus, you along with that, you identify, whether you are able to perform that audit or not. Okay. Similarly, here also, this report shows you that only. First of all, this particular portion is nothing but understanding the entity. What is the program here? When I talk about audit, okay, compliance audit, it is nothing different. You have to understand what you are going to audit. Over there, I was understanding the entity, but here it could be more than an entity. Here I would go beyond an entity. I will understand what is the subject matter. I will not call an entity, but I will call the subject matter. So this is known as a subject matter for me. Okay, I will not call an entity because this is not an entity. Okay, this is a subject matter that I'm auditing over here. Or you can say auditable entities or auditable subject matters. Okay. So first I will understand what is the subject matter. They have understood the subject matter. They have provided the details, because till the time you don't understand the subject matter, how will you perform the audit? If I say you need to perform compliance audit of this particular scheme, this is a scheme. Okay. How will you perform till the time you have not understood the particular scheme? So here they are doing the understanding of the scheme. When it was launched, what is the cost involved? Okay, what is the cost involved over here? What was the construction that was done in this particular scheme? Okay, how the things were awarded? A lot of things are there. Rural habitation cost, a lot of things are there. So they have given an understanding of that particular scheme. Fine. Okay, so this is a scheme. What was the objective? Again, part of understanding the scheme, why this scheme was framed, so that we can understand what was the objective of scheme that is there. Now I will understand the audit criteria, this particular part, very important. Audit criteria. Audit criteria is nothing but the remember we were talking about the compliance with the laws and regulations and other things in a compliance audit. And if I go back, this various orders, instructions, Constitution of India, applicable laws, rules and regulations, we were talking about this. This is the subject matter. Sorry, this is the criteria, audit criteria basically. So this is the audit criteria that I have to see whether it has been followed or not. So my subject matter, which is the scheme or which is the program, okay, I will evaluate against the audit criteria. Remember in the last session, I specifically discussed about this audit criteria, subject matter. Quickly, let's do a recap. What is the audit criteria in case of the audit of, a company under Companies Act? audit criteria for a company which is being audited under company set, normal company. We discussed in the last session in detail. Come on, guys. Quickly. Yes, Kirti, very good. What else? Only one answer. Not good, because we discussed in the last session in detail. Yes, Manish, very good. Yes, Jenny, very good. So applicable laws and regulations like Companies Act, financial reporting framework, that is the audit criteria to evaluate the subject matter. And what was the subject matter? In case of an audit of a normal company, what is the subject matter? In case of the audit of a normal company, what is the subject matter? That I have to evaluate against the audit criteria. Yes, very good, Kriti. Financial statements, information of operations, no Manish. Financial statements that we are talking about. Okay. Similarly, over here, in compliance audit, my audit criteria basically is the things against which I will evaluate the subject matter. Subject matter is the scheme, and these are the scheme guidelines, operation manuals, order instructions, rural road manuals, then general financial rules, your other things which are there, state treasury code. Okay, all these things are nothing but your subject matter. Oh, sorry, audit criteria. Okay. Why? Because I will basically evaluate the program and I will check whether these rules, regulations, orders are being complied or not. Here I will check whether this was followed or not in compliance audit. The schemes guideline, operation manuals, rural road manuals, okay, then general financial rules, Madhya Pradesh Treasury Code, or whatever the case will be. For example, standard schedule of rates, SSR, whatever it will be that is applicable. I will first identify what is applicable as an audit criteria, and then only I can evaluate in the compliance audit. Yes or no? So once I will identify the audit criteria, I understood the entity. What is the next step? In the normal audit, you understand the entity. In understanding the entity, you also identify what is the applicable financial reporting framework against which you need to evaluate the financial statement. Yes or no? You understand laws and regulations. So you identify the audit criteria when it comes to the understanding the entity. After understanding the entity, what is your next step? What is your next step in normal audit? After understanding the entity, after identifying the applicable financial reporting framework, after identifying the laws and regulations that are applicable, what is the next step? No, Kirti. No, that is not the next step. You have just understood the entity. Very good, Manish. Yes. Very good, Monica. Yes. Jenny, I just need to take a step back before evaluating the internal controls. I would plan the audit, nature, timing, and extent. I will decide I will first perform the risk assessment and I will decide what audit I need to do. Till now, I have just understood the entity. I understood the audit criteria. But what beyond that? First, I need to decide what I will do in audit. I need to plan the audit. Overall audit plan. Remember we discussed about overall audit plan, audit strategy, something in previous sessions, audit program that we prepare. Yes or no? So you prepare all those things. Remember, I showed you a table also when it comes to the audit of a company, that how we prepare area by area, audit plan, audit program, that what we will do, who will do, what is the risk assessment. See, here also we are talking about audit. So you have to apply those concepts. It's pretty much clear. We are not learning something, rocket science or something different than what we have learned till now. It is same audit we are talking about, but in a modified way. So similarly, what I'll do, I will decide my audit scope and methodology. Basically, what I need to audit now. What is my plan? Okay. Audit scope and methodology. So they might take 10 projects implementation, 6 PIU based on maximum expenditure. Okay. Selection of 6 PIUs. Okay. They will take up some 100 and, examination of records related to 110 roads, 7 bridges, 612 habitations. Here, these are my samples. I'm talking about, okay, what I will test. Okay. I am talking about testing of the records. Okay. So I will decide here. This is the final reports. That's why you are seeing that they have examined. But when you start the audit, at that point in time, you decide what you will audit. So at that time, you will say, okay, no, we will audit records related to 110 roads. We will audit records related to the 7 bridges, something like that. Okay. We want to cover this much total cost in our audit. So, which is the 44% of the total cost that we have identified during the planning stage of the overall project. So, what is the portion that we are covering in our audit? You check materiality. Similar way, they are checking also materiality. They are saying that, okay, which is the maximum, cost incurred cost incurred project. Let's pick that one. So based on materiality, they are basically, picking up the samples. There are various methodologies to pick up the samples that we have seen, random sampling, stratified and everything that is being followed. They plan the audit, they assess the risk. Where is the risk? Higher risk is there. They will carry out the joint physical verification. So at the time of the planning, I will decide whether I need to do physical verification or I need to carry out the, observation, inspection. What kind of procedure I will carry out? Entry conference. Can you tell me the similar thing that we do in the normal audit? Instead of entry conference, we say something different over there. In the audit of a normal company under Companies Act, what we do instead of entry conference? No, Sanya, it is actually after that. Not the audit engagement, no. Very good, Jim. Yes. Here, entry conference, you can just say like communication with those charged with governance. You communicate with them about the audit objective, scope, and methodology. Remember SA 260? Yes or no? So entry conference is nothing but your communication with those charged with governance and management, that you inform what you are going to do in your audit. Then you may go and perform that particular audit, and you will then, send the draft report and everything. So this is how first the planning is done when you are doing the audit, compliance audit. Is it something different than what we have seen in the normal audits? Is it something different than what you have seen in the normal audit, or is it the same thing? Come on, guys. Yes, it is the same thing. Correct. So what we are seeing over here is the same thing only, because it is the audit only. So you will not find something different. Yeah, you might have a word or two different, just like entry conference, exit conference. The same thing you do in your normal audit. Then you go for the actual procedures. Once you do the performance, once you plan the audit, then you perform the audit. You gather the evidence, you evaluate the evidence, and then you go with the audit findings and form conclusions. Yes or no? That you do in the normal audit also. And then comes the reporting part. You prepare the report and you issue the report. So this is what we are also seeing simultaneously. This is nothing but your reporting part. So this is how a compliance audit is done. We will go and discuss one observation also, so that you can identify what kind of observations can be there in compliance audit. But till now, any doubt with respect to compliance audit? Any doubt? Any doubt? No? Great. So basically, when I say, basically we are clear with the compliance audit. Okay. That is, we are evaluating the subject matter against the applicable criteria in the compliance audit. What we'll do is, let's take a quick 10-minute break, and after the break we'll gather back and we'll carry out and discuss one observation of the compliance audit, and then we'll go to the performance audit. Okay, let's take a quick 10-minute break. Yes. We were discussing about the compliance audit. Now, what we need to discuss over here is basically one, we will discuss the type of one observation. Okay, what is the of what how the observations are there in compliance audit. So by looking at the observation, you will get to know, okay, what kind of audit is being performed. Okay, you will get a understanding about the type of audit, like what actually work is being performed. See, so we will see one particular observation, any one particular observation, we will go and we'll see. Okay, so non-levy of penalty for delayed submission of DPR by consultant. So as per these documents, their submission was required to be done. Any delay beyond time limit attracts penalty. Delay beyond 30 days time limit is a non-acceptance of DPR. Recovery of payment is required to be made. These are certain, provisions or requirement, okay, which is there. Now, what is their observation? Basically, their observation is 9 DPR consultants submitted their cases. So there was some delay, which was there was supposed to be this much amount of penalty as per the recovery of the payments. But the entity who was managing the program did not take any action. Okay, so they are saying that, okay, this was the provision, or this was the requirement of the provision, that you need to charge penalty, but they did not charge penalty over here. So that is their observation, and they are saying, okay, this is recommendation that they should take the penalty for significant delays and shortcomings, and accordingly, process should be improved for the DPR. Okay, so this is how actually observations are. They verify whatever it is done in the compliance audit. Okay, like in this case, this is something with respect to the transact walk, some bridge or something like that. Okay, so and if you see over here, the observation is kind of preparing those roads or building up those roads. Okay, so what they are saying is, we noted in PIUs, however, 110 walks were organized with involvement of these things. We found only 19 out of 110. So records were not available. So as per the requirement, they were supposed to keep the documentation, but documentation is not available. So this is how some observations are there in the compliance audit with respect to the documentation, with respect to the provisions, and then these reportings are done. So what is the reporting? That particular entity should ensure that the whatever activity is done properly, DPRs should be prepared, and surveys and investigations should be done and documented appropriately. So if you'll go, I will not go right now, but if you'll go each and every observation, it will be like that only. They prepare the observation, they have the data of that observation over here, all the data are there. Okay, on the basis of which they are basing their observation. They say that, okay, which particular provision this has not complied, or which particular provision has not been complied, and accordingly they issue their observation. Okay, this is the final observation. So this is how the compliance audit is actually is done, and this is the audit opinion. Here it is not like that you issue clean report, you issue qualified. No, here there are findings. So the report, if I talk about the structure of the report, just if I show you the structure, how the structure is, you have chapter 1, which gives the overview of the report. Chapter 2 basically talks about the detail about the report. Okay, with respect to each and every part, each and every area, like, okay, what is required to be done, what observations are there. So that is the chapter 2 with respect to the detailed observations. Okay, and then you have the appendices. So this is how the report is structured. In part 1, you have all the methodologies, everything that we saw. In part 2, you have all the audit observations. Okay, so this is how audit report is there. It's not like just we have seen that clean report, unmodified, modified. No, it is divided in two parts. One is an overview, One is the compliance audit, where you have the audit observations about that particular audit. There is one more doubt. Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, Corporate Affairs, Government, various political parties come under government departments. See, Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, Corporate Affairs, yes, you can say they fall under the purview of this particular audits, compliance audit, performance audit, and all that stuff. Political parties, no. Political parties are not government departments, not public sector undertakings. They do not fall under the purview of this particular part. So rest, yes. Any other doubts, guys, with respect to compliance audit? Any doubts? No? Okay. If no doubts, then let's proceed to the study material and quickly see how compliance audit and what compliance audit is given over there. And we will collaborate, or we will corroborate whatever we have seen till now. Okay. Basically, see, compliance audit is an independent assessment of whether the given subject matter is in compliance with the applicable criteria. Now, again, as I said, subject matter is nothing but your program or scheme. Applicable criteria is nothing but the rules and regulations against which you evaluate, that we discussed. Okay. Then we check about regularity and proprietary matters over here. Okay, proprietary matters over here. Then when it comes to the compliance audit, as I said, it is not something different than the normal audit that we do. You have a general audit principles applicable. For example, you develop the annual plan, you also prepare the audit strategy, audit plan, you identify the subject matter criteria, understand the entity, environment, you establish materiality. Remember, we were seeing that, okay, these samples are selected based on materiality. You plan audit procedures, what bridges, what PIUs or whatever they will audit, okay, projects they will audit. You gather evidence, then you evaluate the evidence, basically whatever you have, and you form the conclusions, and then you prepare the report, and then the reporting part happens, the report that we have seen. This is how in actual the audit is performed. Okay, and what we saw just now, this is the compliance audit. Okay, in the study material. And then we have the performance audit. Okay, similarly, now what we'll do is we'll understand the performance audit, and we will understand the performance audit through the report, and then we'll again come back over here. So I'll just show you the report. This is finance audit. Yeah, performance audit. So this is performance audit again. Okay, this is the performance audit. Now let's see what is there in the report. This is the structure of the report. You have the preface, you have executive summary, you have introduction, and then you have the observations over here. Okay, over here you have the observations kind of things. In different chapters, different observations are there, financial management related, everything. So these observations are there. But you have chapter 1 is the introduction, and then you have the observations going on. Again, in the chapter 1, you have overview of healthcare facilities, because this is performance audit of public health infrastructure and management of health services. Okay, this is the performance audit about. So you will see observations on this particular area only. Now let's understand about the performance audit from the structure. If you see first here, this is nothing but, I can say, understanding the entity. Yes or no? Health services and overview of health facilities. How the organization setup is there, organization structure. status. I will come to this point over here later on. Okay, we will discuss later on this part. But this is still here, status over here is nothing but you're understanding the entity. Then you have the audit objectives, audit scope. Okay, over here to understand about the planning part, how you will plan the audit and what you will perform. This is audit criteria again. And then you have the structure of the report explaining like in this way, like how the report is there. So that is a different part. But here you have audit criteria, again part of the planning. So this is usually we do normal audit also. In a similar way, we are doing the performance audit. Yes or no? Now we will go in detail and we will understand, what is different over here than the compliance audit and the financial audit. Again, as I said, that whatever reports are there, whatever audits are done, okay. Again, if you'll see the references there, Article 151 of Indian Constitution, and it is submitted to the governor of the state, which is then being laid in the house. Okay. Now, coming to the part over here is the summary. That is fine. This is the executive summary. We'll skip for time being now. We'll go to the chapter 1, introduction. Introduction, this is nothing but understanding the entity. National health policy, sustainable development goals, population, whatever it is. Okay. Whatever line of services are there for the health one. This is nothing but you're understanding the entity. So 3-tier healthcare system, whatever it is, okay. Who is responsible? Organization setup. Who is responsible for what? This is government, directors, administration, everything. How the structure is there, okay, of the health department. So organize in normal financial audits, what you do is you understand how the entity is there, board of directors, CEOs, CFOs, CXOs, then you have, then vice presidents, everything, each and every function like purchase department, sales department, marketing department, treasury, payroll. Similar way, you are understanding the entity over here. Organizational setup. Remember when we were evaluating the work, if when it comes to the internal audit, we check what is the organizational status of the internal audit. Over there, we go back and we check the organizational status and setup, how they are structured. So we check like what is the organization structure at that time, to whom they are reporting. Similar way, over here also, you are seeing who reports to whom. Like what is the role of the particular person, particular authority, who is the auditable entity over here, who reports to whom, and everything. You evaluate the structure. This is the status, basically, again understanding the entity, nothing else. Sustainable development goals. I'll also discuss this particular part when we will discuss chapter number 18. I'll come back to that particular point in time. These goals, sustainable development goals. Okay, I'll discuss at that point in time, but as of now, park it. Audit scope and methodology, very important part. This is something in audit objectives. This is the important part that we need to understand. Okay, what is the objective? The performance audit has been carried out to examine availability of the necessary human resource at all levels, availability of the management, availability of the medicines, adequacy of the funding, adequacy of the effectiveness of the regulatory mechanisms, and whether the state spending on health has improved. Okay, so there are 3 things which are looked into in this particular audit. Number 1, availability of the resources. Availability of the resources which is there, and availability of the management, availability of the medicines, in this particular part. Now, why they are checking the availability? Reason, because availability will talk about the effectiveness over here, or you can say whether the objectives were achieved or not. See, availability of the human resources, doctors, nurses, and everything. So you have a program, okay, that you need to have this much hospital, this much availability of the doctors. Now you will check the doctors, whether doctors were available or not. The program was to have 10 doctors in every village, at least 10 doctors. Now you are checking availability of those doctors. Basically, you are checking the effectiveness of that program. Okay, so by checking the availability, you are checking the effectiveness. Whether the required, resources were available as planned. So these resources were planned to be available for the public. Whether they are available, whether the availability and management of healthcare infrastructure is being done, whether the medicines are available. So effectiveness of the program, this health program, how much effective the health program is. Okay. Second part comes is efficiency. Whether the state spending on health has improved. Efficiency comes in like, okay, input output ratio, public spending. Okay, whether spending has improved means whatever amount is being spent, whether I'm getting proper output from that particular spending, that is something is being checked over here. Okay, whether the proper output is being received or not. So this improved is nothing but I'm checking here the efficiency part. Okay, with the minimum input, with the minimum funding, can I get maximum output? That is the efficiency part I'm checking. And the third part is the, again, adequacy and effectiveness of the regulatory mechanisms for ensuring quality health service. Now, again, it is talking about effectiveness, but when I talk about adequacy, it is talking about economy. So what is this talking about? Adequacy and effectiveness is talking about kind of, you can say, economy, that is minimizing the cost of resources. That whether adequacy and effectiveness of the regulatory mechanisms for the ensuring healthcare was there or not, means with the given cost, with the given fundings, okay, with the given things that we are talking about over here, whether the adequate and effective healthcare was there or not. Again, you can say this is a combination of efficiency and economy both. But in performance audit, a particular goal, a particular objective can be, targeted on 2 to 3 parameters. Perfectly fine. So either it will be effectiveness, either it will be efficiency, economy, or combinations of all the three, or all any two that can be there. Okay. So in this case, I can say this is minimizing the cost of resources, that is economy, plus your efficiency, that is being checked over there. So each and every objective in performance audit revolves around these 3 E's, that is economy, effectiveness, and efficiency. I'm not saying any, see here I'm not talking about any compliance. Am I talking about any compliance with laws and regulations? No. Am I talking about whether they have followed the rules? No. I am talking about first is the availability of the resources. Let's say program said, okay, there will be hospital in every village. So effectiveness, whether the at the end hospital was there, whether the program was effective. Second, efficiency. With the given funding, what is the output? Whether the spending has improved, whether the program was effective, effectiveness. And the third part is the economy, whether the cost was minimized. That is the adequacy and effectiveness of the regulatory mechanism. And improvement of the state funding, again, that talks about economy. That whether with the given cost or whether they try to minimize the cost so that they can, save some amount over there without impacting the quality. These are the 3 E's which are checked or which are verified in case of performance audit. Efficiency, effectiveness, and economy. Clear? Any doubt with this? Okay. Now, let's go to audit scope and this Directorate of Health Services. You might say it's a person, but it's not a person. It is a function. Okay. So this is the scope. You can say these are auditable entities or programs or functions or departments. I would say, for simplicity, we'll call them departments. So these are departments, okay, which are being in scope for purpose of audit. Just like when you do audit, you say, okay, these are the material processes. These are the processes which are material. I will scope in for the audit. Same, these are the departments which are in scope for the audit. Same, again, these are something, districts which are in scope for the audit. Okay, so this is this audit scope, basically. In a particular financial audit, you have the financial statement and the entity as a part of the scope. Here, this is the audit scope, because here, it's not just like one entity, but it is different programs, different things that we need to consider when we are deciding about audit scope. Okay. Again, they have the period. In financial audit, we have the financial year. But here in these kind of audits, you have the different period that is being considered. It is not necessarily 1 year, it is not necessarily 2 years, but it could be multiple years that are considered together. So some about, scoping, again, they have provided this. Now coming to this auditing methodology, what they are saying, audit methodology was in accordance with the C&AG's auditing standard, 2017. Auditing methodology was as per the C&AG auditing standard, that is 2017. Now, what is this? Are these something different than what we have seen? Understand one thing. You basically, they might have some different audit manual, but the concepts are same. Structure might be different, but the concept is similar than what we have seen. Okay. So if you say, do they have different auditing standard? Something new concept? Answer is no. Concepts are not new. It's the same concept, but in a, kind of, you can say, a different compilation that they have. Okay. And accordingly, this is how they, it is required to be followed. Okay. So this particular auditing standards, are required to be followed when an audit is being performed. Okay. Concepts are similar. Any doubt with this? Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Okay. No? Okay. Perfectly fine. So once they decide, okay, according to what they are going to audit, then they decide what analysis or scrutiny of data they will be doing. What will be the objective, scope, and criteria? What evidence they will gather by scanning the records, by physical inspection, by test check hospitals, by taking photographs, collecting evidence, questionnaires, audit observations, and everything. Analysis of the database of web applications and everything. Similar what we do in our audit. It's not something different we are talking about. It is the same part. Yes or no? This is the same thing that we do in our audit. So they have also done the same thing, but in a different in a bit modified way. Entry conference. What was the entry conference? What was the entry conference?
Communication to those charged with governance.
Absolutely yes. So they are talking about communication with those charged with governance kind of thing. When it was there on third, this they have provided the dates. Okay, and then whether they have considered some additional reports in there, like it is just like considering the internal audit report. Consideration of this report is kind of consideration of internal audit reports or something like that. And then you have the audit criteria. Again, audit criteria. Why do we have this audit criteria over here? Because at the end, when we are measuring the performance, when we are measuring the efficiency, effectiveness, there should be something written. No, like for example, okay, there will be 10 hospitals in a particular city, minimum 10 hospitals. Means that is written somewhere about the 10 hospitals. And where it will be written? In policy, in act, or in some standards or something like that. Or for example, like to have 10 doctors in a particular hospital at minimum. But where it is written? So wherever it is written, it is the audit criteria we are talking about, that we need to see, and accordingly we need to verify whether the program was effective or not. Simple. Let's say this healthcare program. So the healthcare program was a hypothetical example I'm talking about, not a real one. Hypothetical example I'm talking about. Okay, free medical treatment of 10,000 people. But where it was written? How can I say that, okay, this program is effective? So when a program is formed, when a scheme is formed, when a particular department is working, they have some, budget kind of thing. They have some planning. That is, this is something they are required to do during the year. They are required to provide 10,000, they are required to provide free medical service to 10,000 people. That is your audit criteria. And then they perform the audit and the observations are there. If you see the observations, I'll show you the observations. And by reading the observations, you'll come to know how different it is in compared to the compliance audit. See, this is some data is there, some analysis they have done. Okay, sanction strength, share in total workforce, working strength, vacant post, percentage of vacancy. Basically, this is shows that okay, they have calculated, like for example, these many doctors were supposed to be there. This many doctors were supposed to be there, but in actual, these are the doctors who are working. This is a vacant post. Means they are talking about performance. That okay, this was planned doctor capacity, but now they don't have that much doctors, so it is not working effectively. If you see over here, what they are saying, yeah, over here, the percentage of doctors, positions, everything was only 35 to 82. There was a shortage, contract basis, a lot of things they are mentioning. Okay, with respect to these things, and they have mentioned that absence of periodical filling up of vacancy resulted in the risk of denial of uninterrupted delivery of quality health care. So they are talking about effectiveness of the program. They are saying that because of this particular thing, there was a absence of there was a risk of denial, means program might not be effective. Again, if I talk about, they do a lot of data analytics. Performance audit is more on the data analytics by measuring the performance. If you see, they have measured the performance over here. Okay, good, poor, very poor, extremely poor, and on that performance they report whether this is appropriate or not as per the program. Availability of the staff on the basis of test check. So this is how the performance audit in actual is done on ground. They go, they verify, they check whether the particular program is working as required or not. And what was the basically not only performance, like when we saw the performance audit, it was not only about the effectiveness, it was about the economy and the efficiency also. So I'll show you. If I show you some with respect to the amount side, you will come to know, okay, how they are, talking about the amount. Even they, collect the audit evidence, whatever audit evidence might be. So whatever facilities are there. So this is, they're talking about effectiveness, whether the program was effective or not. This is also talking about efficiency. Based on the given funding, what is the outcome over here? Whether the outcome is appropriate as planned. Okay. So this is how they are also talking about over here, efficiency and effectiveness. Plus, it here you have, might not be have in these observations, somewhere down the line it will be, but they also go for the economy, like what is the resources that has been spent, what is the resources that was supposed to be spent and what has been spent. For example, over here, see, sanction of this much lakh rupees, and they go and check with the resource part also. So this is how the performance audit is carried out on ground actually. I hope you got the understanding what is the performance audit and how it is different than your compliance audit. Yes or no? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys, with respect to performance audit or understanding the performance audit? This is because you should be, you should get understanding of these things, because you might, in future, you might be involved in these kind of audits. That's why it's necessary to have the understanding of these kind of audits. And that's why I'm showing you directly through the reports that what is the outcome that is expected over here. Any doubts? Any doubts, guys? So please ask as many as doubts you have. Don't restrict yourself, because the more you will ask, the more you will understand about the topic. Okay. So this was performance audits understanding from the report. Let's go to your study material, and from there we'll see what is performance audit. Now, if you see over here, performance audit is an objective and systematic examination of evidence for the purpose of providing independent assessment of the performance of government organization, function, program, activity, or to provide information to improve public accountability and facilitate decision makings. Okay, basically what it's saying, that it is saying about objective and systematic examination. So the examination that was done, it was objective. There were objectives behind it. 3 E's were there as an objective, and systematic. So there was a process and methodology that was followed. Okay. Evidence, we saw the evidence, photographs, everything was there as a part of evidence. Okay. To do an independent assessment of the performance of the government organization, activity, function, or program. That what we saw. Okay. Again, as I told you, economy, effectiveness, and efficiency. Economy is nothing but the minimizing the cost of your resources used for the activity. On the similar way, you have the efficiency. Efficiency talks about nothing but what we saw is input-output ratio. That is the maximum output with the minimum inputs. That means that whether whatever output we have, whatever healthcare facilities we have, is appropriate with the given amount of funding. So they talk about, resources being used efficiently, whether resources are properly protected and maintained. So that we saw resources. like whether the facilities are there, healthcare facilities, doctors, everything is there, procurement facilities, medicines, whether the medicines are appropriately available. That is the efficiency, input output ratio. And the third part is your effectiveness. How much effective is the program? You are supposed to have these many doctors. Do you have these many doctors? This is the effectiveness of the program. That is the actual impact of the activity, whether the objectives are achieved or not. So these are the 3 E's which are basically, evaluated under the performance audit. Yes or no? And if you see the structure of the performance audit, you have the objectives and the goals which are decided. Then you do the planning. You then, document the plan, that the way we document in the audit. Okay, a strategic plan document, an annual operational plan that you obtain. You plan the individual performance audit. You perform the study. Just now we saw the study that was being performed. Okay, you have the discussions, working papers, everything. You implement the program performance audit by performing the field work. Okay, you go to the field, you take the evidence, you report, you record their response. Remember, we have the questionnaires, entry conference, exit conference kind of things. And you then, prepare the draft report. Then you issue the final report after discussion of the draft report. That is a performance audit. Similar what we understood over here. Yes or no? If you see, it is the same that we understood. Planning the performance audit is something that we just now saw, that you define the objectives and audit scope. Remember, there was a section of audit objectives and the scope. You understand the entity and program. If I go back to the report, this is the understanding the entity and program. First step. Okay, organizational setup, understanding the entity and program. You have audit objectives, methodology and scope. So after understanding the entity and program, you define the objectives and scope of audit. You determine the audit criteria. Similar way, we have the audit criteria over here. This is the audit criteria we have determined. You determine the audit approach. In methodology also, we determine the audit approach. What we are going to audit, which departments, which villages, what is the basically approach that we are going to follow. Questionnaires, physical visit, field visit, collecting of evidence, photographs, everything. Developing audit questionnaires. Then, comes the next step, that you perform the audit. Assessing the teams, preparing the audit plan, that is the design metrics, what you will do, everything. Timetable, nature, timing, and extent of the audit. And then you implement the program by intimating to the entities. That is the entry conference over here that we are talking about. That intimation of the audit program to the audit entities that we saw, the entry conference. This is how you perform the audit. This is how the planning is done for the performance audit. And the rest of the audit that we have seen. Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Performance audit. Any doubt, guys? No? No doubt with the performance audit? Okay. If no doubt, then let's move to the next part. Okay, this was your performance audit basically. Okay, now we will understand the next part over here. That is the comprehensive audit. Now, what is a comprehensive audit? Basically, when it comes to the comprehensive audit, okay, it is the combination of performance, compliance, and financial audit. You have, a combination of audits. Here, you combinedly verify the financial part, you verify the compliance part, and you also perform the performance audit. So if you perform financial plus compliance plus performance together, if you perform all the three audits together, that is nothing but your comprehensive audit, because you are covering all the aspects. You are covering the compliance part, you are covering the financial part, you are covering the performance part. That is a comprehensive audit, which will involve all the three aspects. In the financial part, you will see the funds, the income expenditure, the receipts, whether it has been accounted appropriately, it is done appropriately. In compliance, you will check about the compliance of the laws and regulations, policies, rules, programs, whatever orders that have been issued. And in performance, you will check for the effectiveness, capacity utilization, efficiency, economy, uses of resources, input output ratio, everything. So when you see all the areas together in a particular audit, it becomes a comprehensive audit. Yes or no? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? With respect to comprehensive audit, performance audit, compliance audit, or financial audit, any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then I'll also show you, I'll also discuss one more part, that is the focus area. So with these audits, there is a focus area also. Okay. Now, as we saw that, C&AG guides the auditor to carry out the audit. Okay. They provide some additional instructions, let's say in supplementary audit, in test audit, or in normal audit also, C&AG may provide additional direction. So in case of a direction, C&AG gives a focus area for the audit. Okay. I'll show you quickly the focus area. So this is, I'm on the website of C&AG. It is publicly available data. So for each and every year, C&AG issues focus areas. Like whosoever is performing these audits, the person appointed by C&AG, they have to focus on these areas. For example, if I go to revenue, okay. So this is the focus area: duty drawback, in customs and direct tax, taxation of capital gain, taxation of mergers and acquisitions, department oversight of GST, whatever it is. Okay. These are the focus areas. If I go back again, let's say education. Okay. So functioning of these particular sports, construction of this particular thing, internal controls in this. So these are the focus areas, kind of, you can say the areas of higher risk of material misstatement. Okay, significant risk areas, which C&AG wants the auditors to focus upon when they are doing the audit. You can say kind of, additional areas that, you need to think as in, areas with a higher risk assessment, areas with a higher risk of material misstatement, kind of similar thing. Okay. You can say kind of additional instruction that has been issued by the C&AG from time to time. And, they update these focus areas, and auditors or the person who is carrying out the audit, they have to, focus more on these areas, basically, when they are carrying out the audit. Okay. So this is how, focus areas and additional information is also provided by C&AG when audit is being done. C&AG has separate audit offices, even, with respect to what you say. They have within different departments, like railway audit department, defense audit department. So they carry out the separate audit within those department itself. Okay, but the audits are like these only: comprehensive, financial, compliance audit. So you can visit the portal, C&AG's portal. You will find all the audit reports over there. You can go to the audit reports, you can read it if you have time. You will get a good understanding on that. You will find union audit reports, state audit report, union territory audit reports, state accounts, everything is available on that. A lot of information is there, and I would recommend you to at least visit once so that you can understand, how actually audit of public sector undertaking at the overall level works. Now, if you are clear with the comprehensive audit, if you are clear with the performance audit, compliance audit, the next part that I want to discuss is a very important part. Okay. The next part, that is proprietary audit. So I want to discuss about proprietary audit. Now, what is proprietary audit? See, proprietary audit is kind of a concept, or is kind of a thing where you look into the decision making or proprietary aspects of a particular program, or of a particular, what is it, activity or function or entity. It's basically has to deal with more onto the proprietary natures. So can anyone tell me the matters, proprietary matters under the Companies Act, okay, on which the auditor reports? The proprietary matters under the Companies Act on which the auditor reports. Anyone? The proprietary matters that are there under the Companies Act, okay, that the auditor looks for in normal audit. No? Anyone? No? Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
maybe key managerial personnel related disclosures और directors को अगर कंपनी लोन्स या एडवांसेस प्रोवाइड करती है तो उसका डिस्क्लोजर मे बी.
Yes, and that is under section 143(1).
Yes, sir.
143(1) talks about whether loans and advances made by the company are prejudicial to the interest of the company or not, whether the transactions are made by the book entries which are prejudicial to the interest of the company, whether the loans and advances made by the company shown a deposit, whether the personal expenses have been charged to the revenue accounts. So there are matters under 143(1). These are the proprietary matters, means they deal with the whether the activities which are being carried out by the company is in the interest of the company. Whether the activities which are carried out are fair in the nature. We are talking about ethical principles, like charging of personal expense to the revenue account, means to the company. So that is not ethical. If you book personal expense in the company, it is not ethical. If you advance loan at the rate or at the terms which is not in the favor of the company, which is not in the interest of the company, it is not correct. It is not appropriate. So those are the proprietary matters. Similar way, here in the proprietary audit, we more focus on the kind of scenarios where kind of examining the appropriateness of the fundings or expenditure. For example, whether in actual this expenditure was supposed to be done. I'll give you a hypothetical example. Let's say contract for manufacturing of contract for some roads or some infrastructure project. Now, in performance audit, what you check? Okay, this is the contract that was given. Based on the contract, this much kilometer of roads were supposed to be built. Okay, whether in actual it has been built or not. But in proprietary, we go a step ahead. We say whether this contract was necessary, whether this particular thing was supposed to be done. For example, a road was supposed to be created. Now, whether the road or the orders or guidelines or the schemes which are framed, see, in performance audit, you evaluate based on the audit criteria. Okay. Now, what if the audit criteria is flawed? What if the audit criteria is not appropriate? What if that particular standards, guidelines are not in the interest of the public, which are being framed, or the schemes which are not in the interest of the public? So even though when it, like, in the proprietary audit, let's say they are doing the expenditure which is in line with the policy, but the policy itself is not in the interest of the public, or the expenditure which is done even though in line with the policy, but it is not in the interest of public. That is the proprietary audit. Here we see whatever is being done, whether it is in the interest of public or not. It is whether it is prejudicial to the interest of the society or not. Detecting the waste, extra expenditure, unauthorized use of public funds, unauthorized awarding of contracts, drafting of schemes in such a way that it could be misused. A step ahead in a performance audit. You have a performance audit where you measure the audit, the subject matter against the audit criteria. Now here I'm questioning also on the audit criteria, whether this audit criteria is good, is in the interest of the public. In performance audit, we never question on the audit criteria, whether the national plan, whether the guidelines, whether the orders issued are appropriate or not. But here we will question. In the proprietary audit, we will question on that. We will understand whether whatever is being done is in ethical conduct or not. The decisions that are made, the policies which are made, the principles, the rules are of good governance or not. Ethical standards are being followed or not. When drafting the policies, procedures, even when complying with the policies and procedures, because at times it might not be clear. So that is, we check with the ethical behavior. We check with the fairness of the transactions in the proprietary audit. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So basically, if you see, proprietary audit basically talks about test of public interest, commonly accepted customs, standards of conduct. Okay. That is whether whatever it is being done, it is in the public interest or not. Okay. So to bring out the cases of improper, avoidable expenditures, even though expenditures are being incurred in conformity with the existing rules and regulations. So expenditure may satisfy all the requirements. Okay. But still it is wasteful because the underlying policy, procedure, regulations, or whatever requirements were made, they are also of such nature. Are you understanding the point? So this is kind of things which are checked in proprietary audit. And this is how it is different than your performance audit. Although you may find, okay, there is some overlapping, because at the end, in performance audit also you check for the utilization, but you never go beyond the subject audit criteria. Here, I will also question on the audit criteria. Okay. I will check it from the public understanding. That is, as per the ordinary prudence, as per the rational person, whether this expenditure, this sanctioning, this particular policy is appropriate or not. So for example, simply see these examples which are given, the principles which are given. The expenditure is more than the occasion demands. Whether the authority exercises power with of sanctioning the expenditure is appropriate or not. Okay. Funds are utilized for the benefits or not. Or remuneration or reward that was agreed is given, or it is, not given, indirectly given to someone else. So you will find that, okay, some of the part is performance audit, but some part is beyond performance audit. And when that is there, it is nothing but your proprietary audit, where you have the performance plus additional aspect. Now, as I said, proprietary audit uh, basically is not that much followed concept here. The reason, because when it comes to the proprietary audit, okay, it becomes very difficult to justify what is morally accepted and what is, uh, appropriate when it comes to the public interest. Now, that is a very subjective concept. Okay, it is very difficult to establish the guidelines, the policies, or something to define what is commonly accepted good thing, ethical thing, public interest, and everything. So there can be a debate about each and every part. That's why it becomes very difficult at time to perform proprietary audit. So you will find you have a lot of performance audit, but you will find hardly any proprietary audit being separately performed. Yes, there could be some portion of proprietary audit in performance audit itself, but separately a proprietary audit is generally very subjective in nature, because at the end what you are dealing with something which is in the public interest. Now one may question that, okay, it is in the public interest, another may question it is not. Okay, so they can have a different opinions. So that's why it's very subjective in nature. And that's why it becomes very difficult to perform these kind of audits. There are norms there that how to carry out the performance audit, compliance audit, but it is difficult to apply those norms for the proprietary audit. Okay, simple example, in order to determine if there is a wastage of resources, you need to define what is wastage, what is not. And again, that goes with subjective concept, different level of discussions. That's why it becomes very, very difficult with respect to the, identification or how to perform these kind of audits. And that's why you don't have the separate reports on the proprietary audit. Clear with this? With respect to the proprietary audit? Thank you, Ginny. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt with any of the matter? Any of the topic? Any doubt? Okay. If no further doubts, guys, this was your chapter 15, okay, where we discussed about multiple audits, where we discussed about overview of audit of public sector undertaking. We discussed about compliance audit. We discussed about proprietary, performance. We discussed about comprehensive. We discussed about the committees. We discussed about a quick recap I'm giving you. We discussed about the committees. We discussed about the functioning of the committees, laying of the papers, from where the audit requirement is coming, Companies Act, Separate Act, Indian Constitution, C&AG, DPC Act, Section 19A that we discussed. So how the requirement is flowing, how the powers are coming to the C&AG, even the criteria, for the empanelment of the charter accountants and LLPs for the audit of public sector undertaking. This particular, the empanelment criteria we discussed. We discussed about the committee reports. We discussed about we saw the performance audit report. We saw the compliance audit report. Even, financial audit reports are available. So this is the financial audit report. And we'll quickly see this financial audit report also. It is of the similar nature. Okay, similar. Like here, whatever audit you do in the financial audit, it is the same financial audit, like finances, budgetary management, okay, all the things, quality of accounts and financial reporting practices, state public sector enterprises. And if I should show you some overview over here. Yeah, basic and approach to state finance audit report. Basically, again, Article 151 of the Constitution, the state finance report is there, which will be submitted to the governor of the state, which will be then laid to the legislature of the state. Okay, how the audit is required to be done. This is a source from where the data will be collected. Okay, and then the audit and analysis are in this particular part of the report. If I show you further, so these are the aspects that they have understood, kind of understanding the entity. This is nothing but the understanding the entity. And this is the basically where the detailed audit is being done. Detailed finances and audit of finances has been done. Now here you will find in detail whatever audit is being done, like, okay, what are the observations and what are the receipts payments. So in audit, you have the financial statement also, correct? In audit report, beyond audit report, you have the financial statements. Similar way, beyond audit report, you have the financial snapshot of the financial statements, or snapshot of the finances basically over here. It is not in the way that we see in the companies, that the financial statement, they have the different format of the finance reports. Okay, so here some of the snapshot from there, and the audit of that, along with the observations, whatever it is. Okay, so this is the finance audit report. But again, the concepts are same that what we have seen in the financial audit. It's the same concept. And yeah, that was we discussed in the chapter 15. That is the overview of the audit of public sector undertaking. Now, what I expect from you guys in the next session. Okay, so in the next session, what I want to do is, first I will be taking up the questions on this particular chapter, so that it will serve as a revision for us. Okay, so what I want you to do is read the chapter in detail, so that when I discuss the questions, you should be able to answer. Second, bring up your doubts. Very, very important. Bring up your doubts about the chapter, about this chapter, previous chapter, whatever doubts you have. Not only restricted to this chapter, but whatever previous points we have discussed, you can bring your doubts. We will discuss your doubts. Okay. And then we will proceed to the next chapter. That is chapter number 16, internal audit. For that, I want you to read the chapter, because there are multiple things that we will discuss when it comes to the internal audit. It's not only about the internal audit, but the Companies Act provision on the internal audit, SEBI regulations on the internal audit. What is the SEBI, ICDR, LODR regulations on the internal audit part? Okay. What are the requirements with respect to the internal audit when it comes to the Companies Act, vigilance mechanism? A lot of things we will discuss. Okay, when it comes to the internal audit. So I want you guys to read the chapter, so that when we will discuss in the next session, you should be aware, like, okay, what we are discussing from where. You will be able to correlate, okay, with the study material, and you will be able to correlate with everything, whatever you read. Otherwise, what will happen is, now after the session you will read, okay, still you will get the clarity. Okay, it's not that you will not get the clarity, but at that time, if you have read, if you are listening to the lecture after reading the chapter, you will have on the spot doubts, which you can get it resolved in the lecture itself. So you'll get much more clarity. Okay, so that's why I recommend, please read the chapter before start of the lecture. It will be very helpful for you guys.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
सर, एक्चुअली मैं ये पूछना चाहती थी कि अपने जो अदर कंपनीज की ऑडिट रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करते हैं, तो वो कंप्लीटली एक्चुअली हम उसमें भी जो अभी आपने PSU में बताया उसी वही सारे पॉइंट्स हम कंसीडर करते हैं, बट विद डिफरेंट वर्डिंग्स। बट हम एक ही एनुअल रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करते हैं, और यहाँ पे हर एक पॉइंट पर हर एक नई ऑडिट रिपोर्ट हमको प्रिपेयर करनी होती है। तो यानी ये ड्यू टू द इंटेंडेड यूजर्स पॉइंट, because of that.
See, in case of a company, it's not like that you prepare only one report. See, what happens is, in case of a company, one, you have a annual audit, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sometimes you may have a special purpose framework based audit.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you have a certifications.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sometimes there is some different kind of audit which is required to be done under a specific act. For example, there are SEBI regulations which require you to do compliance audit. Second, sometimes there are different kind of audits other than the annual audit. Okay, under SEBI regulations, under even RBI audit, RBI regulations. Just now we saw there's a separate reporting on category wise or for the category A, category B. Remember, which is submitted to the board of directors.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, in public sector audit also, public sector undertaking, you have a different. You have annual audits. So the report that I showed you. This is on the finances for the year. This is the annual one.
Yes, sir.
But apart from that, you have the other audits, the way we have the other assurance engagement in the companies.
Okay, sir. Clear, sir. Thank you.
Any doubt, guys? Any doubt with respect to any of the points? No? No doubts? Okay. If no doubts, guys, then thank you. Thank you for participating in the session. Do provide your feedback. It is very, very important for me. Okay. So that I can understand whether you are liking the lectures or not. Okay. And I'll see you in the next section. Thank you, guys. Thank you for participating in the session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes.